Hey everybody, welcome to Square State. I'm your host, Michelle Jackson, and today I'm so excited to bring my friend to the show. We're going to talk about blogging, and community building both locally and virtually. So we've got a lot that we're going to cover. Before we start the show, I want to give a huge shout out to ModWorks Co-working Space. Absolutely love them. John is incredible. He's the owner of this space. It's a Colorado local business located on 16th Street Mall, very close to the Civic Center station. You can actually see it from the 14th floor patio as well as the state capitol. If you are looking for a place to work from, make sure you give them a try. I've dated a lot of co-working spaces in Denver as a part of my Square State project, and ModWorks is definitely one of my favorites. If you go, make sure you schedule a tour of the space. Let them know that Michelle sent you from Square State. Now, let's get started. For our guest, Jenny Finke from the Denver Bloggers Club and Good For You Gluten Free. Hi, Jenny. How are you doing today?
Hi, Michelle. I'm good. How about you?
I'm feeling good, but I'm a little confused from yesterday's crazy heat to today.
Yeah, really, yes.
I love the weather. I'm glad that it snowed this week. So I like the up and down, but it is a little discombobulating. So very excited about tonight's event that we're going to attend, that you're throwing, and we're going to just get into it. So for those of you who are like, who's Jenny? Jenny, could you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do?
Sure, I'd love to. So like you, we have so many different things going on in our lives as entrepreneurs. On one side of what I do is I am a nutrition coach. I am an integrative nutrition coach, and I teach people who are going through dietary changes for health reasons, and I help them get better through diet. And as an offshoot of that, I have a blog called Good For You Gluten Free, and I specialize in helping people transition to a healthy gluten-free diet, mostly due to a health reason for making that transition. And on the other side of what I do is I also started the Denver Bloggers Club as a means to help me learn how to blog and become a professional blogger at the same time. And so I started the club and created this really awesome community of bloggers here in Denver, and we learn together and grow together.
So before we get really into it, I'm wondering, how long have you lived in Denver? Actually, are you from Denver originally, or did you move here from somewhere else?
I am a rare unicorn. I am a native of Denver. I was born and raised here. I did live a few years in Missouri and a few years in Illinois, but I am born and raised here.
Oh my God, somehow I missed this.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Overland.
That's hilarious. So I went to Manual.
There we go. Yes, this feels familiar. Maybe we've talked about this.
We have talked about it and then I forgot. But now, this is going to be forever ingrained in my brain. So this is why I like you so much. Now I understand. Besides the fact that you're an awesome human being, but this makes to me, you are my people.
Yes, the rare natives. There's not a lot of us anymore, are there?
No, they're not. And we're going to let that go. So I want to talk about Good For You Gluten Free first, and just talk about how you got into blogging about gluten and gluten allergies, and just kind of walk us through why you started blogging in general, why about food sensitivities, and just walk us through how you built a community around that project.
Okay, great question. I started at the beginning. I was diagnosed with celiac disease in April 2012, so it's 6 years now. And when I was diagnosed, it was very scary because really the only treatment option for someone with celiac disease is a gluten-free diet. And it really turns your life upside down having to change the way you eat, especially when you're, in your 30s when this happened. And so I started to eat gluten-free. I wasn't feeling 100%. I was only feeling maybe marginally better for several years dealing with that and still dealing with some of the chronic health issues that I was having. I decided I needed to figure out more. There was more to this gluten-free diet than just swapping gluten-free pizza, eating gluten-free pizza instead of regular pizza. There was more to this diet. And I decided, upon the recommendation of a friend of mine, to enroll in a certification program at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York.
Oh,
and
wow.
I took this program. I did these night classes online, and I became certified as an integrative nutrition health coach. And during that time, I was practicing the things I was learning on myself and really cleaning up my diet, realizing that maybe it was more than just the gluten that was affecting me. Maybe there were other foods that I shouldn't have been eating or other foods that I needed to be eating, learning more about how digestion works and all these kind of things. And so I really started to get smart, I guess, about nutrition and about diet, and realizing that having a disease like celiac disease isn't just about eating gluten-free, but it's about also being healthy and taking care of myself. And over the course of my studying and all this kind of stuff, I decided to start the blog and start sharing what I was learning, sharing my recipes, and sharing my love of gluten-free living, and teaching people who maybe are intrigued by the gluten-free diet to help them understand that this is like a real health issue. This isn't about being a fad diet. This isn't about losing weight. This is really about getting healthy and really helping people with celiac disease, autoimmune disease, and even those with diagnosed gluten sensitivities, which is a very serious condition, just teaching them how to live a healthy gluten-free life.
I'm curious about, what was happening for you to go to the doctor and actually finally get diagnosed with celiac?
Yeah, that's a great question too, because a lot of people with celiac disease it takes them a long time to figure out that that's what is actually wrong with them. And 1 in 133 people have celiac disease.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that they have it. It's just so underdiagnosed, and a lot of doctors don't know what to do or how to look for it. So that is an interesting thing. But for me personally, I actually had been suffering with, really severe bloating, like very painful bloating, like that. You have that nice flat stomach in the morning, and then by the end of the day, I had to unbutton my pants. It was hurting so bad.
Oh,
and it was
wow.
really like painful bloating. Like if you were to, touch my stomach, it would be like solid as a rock, hard, because it was just so full of gas and bloating and whatever. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought, oh, maybe I had bad genes, And I went to my doctor. I usually go to my annual visit around my birthday in April, and I went to my doctor at my annual visit, and I just said to her, hey, I have this bloating. It's kind of painful. Can you recommend some medication for me? And that's when, she started asking the right questions. I'm very lucky. I had a great primary care doctor. She asked me a lot of questions, and then she said, I just want to do some blood tests on you. I didn't even think to ask her what blood tests. I was like, okay, whatever you want to do. And then within a few days, she called me, and she's like, oh, honey, there's some stuff going on inside you we got to talk about. And so that's how I found out I had celiac disease. It's just from that simple blood test, just by really telling my doctor that maybe this wasn't quite normal going on inside of me. But I really didn't know. I don't have the typical celiac story. A lot of people with celiac disease are really suffering for years and years before they could get an official diagnosis.
Could you explain exactly what celiac is for those people listening who are like, we're still not sure what this means?
Yeah, and it's super confusing. And like I said, a lot of people confuse celiac with like a fad diet, a fad gluten-free diet, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But celiac disease is actually an autoimmune disease. And an autoimmune disease is one where your body attacks itself. Your immune system gets very confused. And every time someone with celiac eats gluten, your immune system sees it as an invader, and it goes and attacks it. And for people with celiac disease, the site of that attack is on their small intestine. And the small intestine is so essential to digesting food and absorbing and distributing nutrients throughout your body. So many people with celiac disease suffer from nutritional deficiencies, anemia, fatigue, things like that. Those kind of diseases that come along, or symptoms that come along with not getting proper nutrition. Even if you're eating proper nutrition, you're still not getting it because your your body's just attacking your small intestine. And like other autoimmune diseases, they attack different parts of your body where, someone with Hashimoto's the autoimmune disease, your immune system would be attacking your thyroid, for example.
I actually have a friend who was recently diagnosed with that. And
yeah.
And I'd never heard of it until she shared that with us. So
yep. And there's others like, MS is an autoimmune disease where the body attacks the myelin sheaths and there's all sorts of autoimmune diseases out there. And so celiac disease is an autoimmune disease, and it's very confusing for a lot of people, especially because, only, like I said, 1 in 133 people or 3 million people in the US have celiac disease, but you have another 18 million people in the US that have a gluten sensitivity. And so it gets a little confused because a gluten sensitivity, while very serious, is not an autoimmune disease. It's more of an inflammatory disease. People experience inflammation when they eat gluten, but their body's not necessarily attacking itself. Both conditions are very serious and have long-term repercussions, but they're very different internally.
So you've started this blog, and you're going through this journey. When did you know you were onto something, or when did people start to connect with you and let you know that your story was resonating with them?
It's interesting, when you first start a blog, it's basically, your best friend and your mom reading it.
My mom doesn't read mine. She
yeah.
still hasn't read it.
Yes, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, it took some time. I felt like maybe I was just putting stuff up there to put stuff up there, and to be honest, like it wasn't really going anywhere for a while. And that's when I started to think I needed to meet other bloggers and figure out what they were doing. And that's sort of the way the Denver Bloggers Club started as well. But when I started to really notice things take off a little bit more was when I did my first Facebook Live, which is so funny to think about. But I did a Facebook Live where I took that, you've seen them probably, where I take that NEMA sensor, that gluten detecting device that I have,
yes.
And I go to different restaurants and I order food, and then I test my food live on Facebook, and everyone is finding out alongside me if my food is really gluten-free or not. And I did my first Facebook Live in Chipotle. I'm sorry, not Chipotle, Chick-fil-A. Sorry, I get those confused. In Chick-fil-A last summer. And I think it was like 7,000 people watched it. And then all of a sudden I was getting email from people, and my traffic started going up, and I started realizing that I had touched a nerve with this community just by showing them this cool little device that I had. And I'd say that was sort of the tipping point for me, where things just started really growing. And I think it was partially the device, like people were intrigued by it. And then I think it was also like, wow, there's a real person behind that blog, and I can see her and I can relate to her and her story. And I think that's where more of that critical mass started to come in.
Could you talk about the NEMA sensor and just what it actually does?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I actually work with them as a partner and as affiliate. So I've been working with them for a year. It's only a 14-month-old company. It's a really new technology. But what you do is you have this little device, it's like a little triangle, and you purchase alongside that little test capsules. And inside the test capsules, there's some sort of fluid that will allow you to test your food for gluten. So you put a little piece of your food into the test capsule, it mixes with that liquid that's in the capsule, and in about 2 to 3 minutes, the NEMA sensor will tell you if it finds gluten or no gluten in your food. And it just really is an amazing device because it makes mealtime more transparent. Eating out at restaurants is just totally fraught with anxiety for those of us who are gluten-free. Like really, someone who is celiac or gluten sensitive, my food cannot be handled by someone who just cut bread, and my food can't be cut on the same surface as something with a sandwich or bread on it. You really have to be careful with my food. And so to have a little bit of control and a little bit of transparency into what's in my food, especially when I'm not preparing it, is just gives me such peace of mind. And so that's the basis of how the device works. And I can send you some information if you'd like to post for your listeners later as well.
Absolutely. And actually, I meant to say censor, not sponsor. I don't know why I said sponsor.
Yes,
Anyway.
no censor.
And I actually, because this is a locally based podcast, I recently was introduced to the Holiday Brewing Company, which is a gluten-free brewery in Golden. Have you heard of that?
I love that beer. Really, really great beer. And it's made from non-gluten, gluten-free grains, where some gluten-free beers are made from wheat and then they remove the gluten. They're called gluten remove beers. And I don't know enough about them, but I'm not quite there yet that I'm ready to drink those. But Holly Daly is made, I believe they use buckwheat and millet, which are both, buckwheat is gluten-free, believe it or not, buckwheat and millet, and it's delicious. Yeah, it's Holly Daly. It's up in Golden. Really love that brand.
And for those of you who are looking to support women-owned businesses, it's actually a woman-owned business. So FYI, heads up, and actually she will be speaking at the next Women... Oh my God, I can't believe I've just forgot the name of it. It's a, what is it called? I'm going to actually, what is it called? Women.
We'll post it later, right?
Yeah, I'll share it in the show notes, but basically it's a once a month meeting for women entrepreneurs here in Colorado. It is not WINK. It's not Women in Kind. It's not Women Who Start Up. Oh, it's Women on the Rise.
I would love to see her speak.
She will be speaking, and in fact, Women on the Rise, and I will include the information in the show notes. So just heads up, those are free event. Kyle Dyer is typically the moderator, for the conversation. It's just a really well-run event. So I highly recommend that. And it's Women on the Rise. Women on the Rise. So very, very excited to talk about that. What are other gluten-free places that you like to go to? Because I think sometimes it's just easier to go to a place that you know you're not going to be like, okay, if I eat here, I don't know.
It's hard. And there's a lot of them. So most cities will have some sort of gluten-free bakery. And we're lucky here in Denver. We have several really nice gluten-free bakeries. So if you're really craving something sweet, I just tried stuff from the allergy-free baking company up in Morrison. That was like pretty incredible stuff. So if you're looking for some good desserts, go to the allergy-free baking company in Morrison. But there's a lot of restaurants. We're lucky here in Denver that a lot of restaurants do understand gluten-free. I'd say like some of my favorite like date night restaurants, like Linger, amazing.
Oh, I love Linger.
They do gluten-free so well. Vesta, right near Coursefield, it's a really nice restaurant. They
Vesta's
really
fantastic.
They take care of the gluten-free crowd. But then there's restaurants like Red Robin and Chili's and stuff like that, where you can get gluten-free foods there. And Five Guys, you get your lettuce wrap burger and fries and it's good to go, right? So there's a lot of places at all different levels. I really enjoy some of the restaurants that I've met through the Denver Bloggers Club, like Zoe's Kitchen, and really amazing menu, very clean menu for gluten-free eating, and they have even like ketogenic menu. And I really love Yellow Belly Chicken there. It's totally gluten-free fried chicken. So there's just a lot of places around town. We're really lucky here in Denver.
There's a new place I want to check out, and I'm not gluten-free, but the food looks phenomenal. Just Be Kitchen is on my list.
Dedicated. Yeah, it's dedicated. That's a completely gluten-free kitchen, from what I understand. I have not eaten there.
Yes.
And I think it's down by that REI over there, downtown.
Yeah, no, that's why I was wondering if you knew about it, because it's completely gluten-free. So I was like, I'm going to see if she's been there. So this is a great segue into the Denver Bloggers Club, why you started it. You kind of alluded to it earlier in the conversation. And how has the response been in terms of your initial expectations and what's going to happen as you move forward in the future with it?
Yeah, the Denver Bloggers Club is so interesting to me because, like I said, I sort of started it for very selfish reasons. Like I wanted to learn how to blog, and I wanted to meet other bloggers like you, Michelle, and learn from people who kind of knew what they were doing and And just, I think there's a lot of camaraderie and learning and figuring out how I could make my blog better and grow. Because really, like I said, it was really my mom and best friend reading it at the time. And so I started to put on these monthly events. And at first, the first event was really like us sitting on the table, like, what should we make this club? What should it be about? And eventually it sort of clicked in my head. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can find speakers who can talk about the topics that I want to learn the most about. And that's what I started doing. Like, I wanted to learn how to grow my Facebook page. So I brought in a speaker who could teach me how to grow my Facebook page. I wanted to learn about SEO and affiliate marketing. And I started finding people, other bloggers and also experts in our community who were willing to share their knowledge with us. And so every month I was planning these events, and bloggers were coming. I was meeting bloggers and they were telling other bloggers. And before I know it, it was like these were real full-fledged events that I was planning suddenly. It kind of surprised myself a little bit, but they were good events because I was learning. And as long as I feel like I'm learning and growing, I can only imagine that other people in the group feel like they're learning and growing. And so we have, right now, I think we have like 225 members, and I think I've met well over half of them. Like, not everyone comes to stuff, but I've met so many bloggers and made so many connections, and it has really transformed my blog. It really has. I've learned so much from the club and the learning opportunity from the club.
What would you say is the thing that's most frustrating about the blogging landscape in Colorado? So I'll share what kind of frustrates me. And actually, it's an opportunity. So this is part of the reason why I'm asking this question. It's an opportunity for other people if there's something that you want to write about. So what I notice comparing Colorado-based online content versus other states, we really lag in terms of the variety that could be out there. It's really surprising to me. I'm convinced that everyone's hiking, biking, skiing, doing things, okay? But that has continuously surprised me that we really do have, given the population and the dynamic energy of Denver and different cities around the state, we don't have a lot of variety in the actual blogs, or a large variety or a large number. I can't put my finger on it. For example, if you Google Austin, there's like a ridiculous number of blogs about Austin and a variety of topics within that. And so that's always been a little bit frustrating for me, because I'm like, Colorado is such a wonderful state. There's so much to offer. And not everyone wants to read about fitness, mom life, and mountains. Like, that seems to be like the three that we always write about. And that was an opportunity for me to kind of write a blog that I chose to write about, like topics that I was interested in. And so you might have a completely different experience with this, and you've met a lot of bloggers, but that was something that in the past I've really noticed. I also noticed, by the way, that because of your group, I'm seeing a lot of different interests coming up, like people who are really into lifestyle topics and fashion, which honestly, like, Colorado and fashion never goes together in my mind. But we finally have these amazing boutiques and places where people can buy beautiful, beautiful fashion. And we've finally got lifestyle and fashion bloggers that are blogging about the fact that we do have that here. So what would you say is your experience with finding Colorado-based content that isn't just one thing?
And I could be partially skewed because in the Denver Bloggers Club, really, in order to be a member, you have to be a food, family, lifestyle, or local interest blogger. So I try to keep it to that. I mean, I'm sure there's people blogging up, technology companies and software, but it's probably not quite the right fit for our group. So I meet a lot of lifestyle type bloggers. And something that's interesting that you're touching on, though, is that there really is an interesting thing happens when you niche and you really understand a niche and you grow in that niche. And like you and the niche in Denver and Colorado, like really exploring that niche, as much as you can. And so I have noticed that a lot of people are really starting to pick up on that. Like, we should not just be like, I'm just a mom blogger and I write about everything, like really picking that topic and honing in on it. My blog is about potty training or whatever, So I'm noticing that people are starting to realize that when you niche, that's where the success comes in. And even for me, like, gluten-free is still very niche. And I try not to talk about anything that isn't gluten-free related on my blog. And I have a lot to say on a lot of things. I'm very opinionated, but I sit here and I'm like, no, that's not what my blog is about. My blog is really about this niche, and this is what my people care about. So here in Denver, I mean, I think we do find that, like, we have blogs, like we have a blog that just focuses on, deals in Colorado and coupons in Colorado and things like that.
Mile high on the cheap.
Yeah, mile high on the cheap. And I mean, and she really doesn't veer from that. That's her niche, and I think you find a lot of people who, there's a lot of foodies in our group, but they're all sort of niche. Like, we have foodies who are like, I'm all clean eating, and they only write about, clean eating restaurants and things like that. So I think what you're touching on is interesting. Like, we could definitely diversify more here in our state, but there are bloggers here. Like, there's a running blogger, and all she talks about is running, and she is killing it. She's doing an amazing job. And but she's so iron focused on running, and what that means. And that's how you get your audience. When you can become, that expert on that one thing that's really a passion for someone, and you really touch on that, people will follow you. And so in Denver, we maybe don't have as many niches, but I'm starting to see more and more.
Yay. So let's talk about, we're here in Denver. You've created a community, and I want to go a little further into just community building and getting sponsors and getting people to get excited about what you're doing and who you're sharing it with. Sometimes you get hiccups. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Oh, do you have the hiccup? I can't even hear it.
Okay. Woo. I'm good now. Okay. How has it been getting sponsors and building community in Denver, and what has the process been like to get people excited about who you would like to get them in front of?
So for the Denver Bloggers Club specifically? Yep. Yeah, the interesting thing with the Denver Bloggers Club is I wanted to meet, and I wanted to bring in speakers, and I wanted to learn and grow, but I didn't have a place to meet. And our first meetup ever was just in a random restaurant, and everyone had to go buy their own food. And I started to think about it a little bit because I do have a marketing background. I used to work in PR agencies, and I was thinking about how we used to plan events, and we'd want bloggers and media to come and cover our restaurants and our places, and we'd host these events for bloggers to come, and they'd get to eat free and all these kind of things. So I started to think about how I could incorporate restaurants into the mix. And because I'm a gluten-free blogger and a food blogger, I do get pitched by a lot of restaurants that want me to come in and try their food and give them a shout out. And this one restaurant had pitched me. It was, I don't know if I should say. Should I say?
It's up to you. I mean, it's on record because we've probably shouted them out.
Yeah, we shouted them out. Yeah. But the first restaurant they were new to Denver. They opened up in Union Station. I won't say their name at this moment, but they had, invited me to come in and try the food, and they told me I had all this gluten-free stuff. And I just wrote her back, and I just said, I'd love to come in and try your food. Would you be okay if I brought the Denver Bloggers Club with me? I've got a handful of bloggers at the time that were members, and they'd come in and you can show us all at the same time. And I would also have an event, I would have a speaker or topic we were going to discuss, and you would kind of be the sponsor in the background, and everyone would give you some social media love because they're going to be there and enjoying your food. And that's what we do as influencers here in Denver. And she loved the idea. And so we all just went to the restaurant. They gave us a free meal. They gave us a coupon to come back, and they really treated us well. And at the same time, we had a nice discussion about using Pinterest to grow our business and things like that. And it started to kind of click in my head, this was an opportunity for this restaurant. I brought them all these bloggers that they want to meet, they want to grow, they want to spread the word about their restaurant. And so that's when it sort of clicked. And again, as it evolved, it clicked in my head that this is a real opportunity for restaurants. And so as restaurants were pitching me, I was kind of pitching them back, hey, what do you think of this? As I was seeing new restaurants opening in town or trying new restaurants myself, I was just starting to network and say, hey, you want to sponsor the Denver Bloggers Club? I'll bring these great bloggers in, and we need a place to meet for our event. I don't have a place. That was sort of the missing piece. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of worked out beautifully. And as time progressed and I got more and more sponsors, it just solidified that this was really the way to go and the direction to move this club.
If you're a person here in Denver looking to create a community of any kind, what would be your three pieces of advice for them?
Oh, goodness. That's a big question. Let's see. Well, it really depends on the community, obviously, but you really need to know your audience because not all communities translate well offline.
Mm.
And I will say planning events is hard, and there's heartbreak, excuse me, when things get moved around or people cancel or they don't go as planned. There's a lot of heartbreak in planning events sometimes. So I would say that, you know, building your community is about knowing, like, are you going to be like an in-person live community of people meeting? Is that really the direction you need to go? Um, or is your community better online? And for example, with my gluten-free community, I have a private Facebook group, a support group for people who are on a gluten-free diet, and that's just growing and it's wonderful, and people are asking all sorts of questions and helping each other. But then I tried to start like a gluten-free group here in Denver offline, and it's been more challenging because where do we meet? How do you get people from all around the town to come together to do that? So I think it's just really knowing your audience and, what kind of community is it going to be? Because I think you can have a really powerful community online as much as you can have a powerful community in person. For the bloggers, I think a in-person kind of community really worked because most of us are kind of stuck behind our desk all day blogging, and the opportunity to get out and meet other bloggers and learn and network and try new foods and restaurants in town, that's like kind of an exciting thing. It's kind of our job. That's what we should be doing, right?
Ah, okay. And then what would be your final piece of advice?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I might be out of advice.
If you're like, I got that was it, people.
Yeah.
Two.
That's all you got.
Is Denver a good place to start a community? I think maybe that's the other question. Like, has it worked out the way that you hope?
Yeah, I think so. For the Denver Bloggers Club, it is. It is great. And I do encourage, here, I have another piece of advice that kind of goes along with both these questions here, is that if you are looking to start an in-person community and you want to meet people, people with a shared interest, I put my initial Denver Bloggers Club, I put it up on meetup.com. I mean, I didn't have a website, I didn't have a Facebook group, I didn't have any of that. I just had meetup.com, and I just paid, the fee. It's like I don't even know what it is. It just comes out of it just comes off my credit card now. Make an initial investment, and I set up the group, and then Meetup actually kind of helps you find people, or when you're looking for your own tribe online, you can search. Like if you're looking for people that enjoy hiking and hiking 14ers here in Denver or in Colorado, I am positive there's a group on Meetup where you can find a group of people that like to hike, and then you come together and you meet people. I think it's perfect, like especially if you're single or couples trying to meet other couples. There's a lot of opportunities. There's moms groups, all sorts of outdoors groups, so many business networking groups on Meetup, and obviously that's where the Denver Bloggers Club, I still house it on Meetup because it just is such a great way to find new people, or people who find us, I should say.
I absolutely love meetup.com, and it's really funny because I actually plan on going to my first hiking meetup of the summer season on Saturday.
Oh my gosh, we just talked about that.
So it's very timely that you said this. I will be taking spikes with me because it's snowed up there, but it's going to be a beautiful day in the mountains. So what's next for the Denver Bloggers Club, and just what are you working on?
Yeah, so like I said, I had no idea that this community would be so magical and grow so big and have so many members that are truly engaged. And I decided to put on a conference, a full-day conference. So it's called the Fuel Your Influence Conference, and you can find it online at fyiconference.com. And it's going to be on October 13th, and it's going to be a day-long intensive conference for bloggers, influencers, social media people, and anyone who wants to be a blogger. Frankly, it's really open to more than just the Bloggers Club. And my vision is to bring the there's all sorts of blogger conferences. A lot of people may not realize that. But there's blogger conferences all over the country, and they're really expensive because not only do you have to buy a ticket, but you also have to fly there and stay there. And a lot of times with blogging is we're trying to figure out how to make money. And of course we have to spend money to make money, but that's like really expensive to spend a few $1,000s traveling somewhere to learn some things about your blog. So really the whole vision of the Denver Bloggers Club is bringing the learning right to your doorstep, right here in Colorado. So you come to these monthly events and you learn, and now with the FYI conference, we're going to have a full day conference brought right here to your doorstep. And I'm bringing in speakers from around Colorado mostly. I am bringing in a couple from outside Colorado, and everything that we're going to learn about is about how to grow, fuel, and monetize your influence. So I've got a great speaker coming in on branding, and something really great that I've learned from her already is it's about attracting and repelling people. So like
Yes.
when you blog, you attract your people and the people who believe and want to be a part of your community. But at the same time, when you put things out there, you're repelling people and the people that you don't want in your community. And I've learned that from gluten-free blogging because I definitely attract and repel people at the same time. And that's good. If I repel you and this gluten-free thing is not your thing, then you're not part of my community, and that's fine. And that's good. You don't want people in your community who don't belong in your community. So I've already learned so much just from talking with this branding expert on the phone. And so, yeah, we'll have this amazing conference again, October 13th. I have not put tickets on sale yet, but they're going to be on sale at some point at FYIconference.com.
What does FYI stand for again?
Fuel your influence.
Fuel your influence.
Fuel your influence. Yeah, it's all about fuel, how to grow, how to monetize, how to use your influence for good and responsibly.
And how can people find you if they would like to connect with you? And actually, do you have a landing page or a sign up for people if they want to get information about the conference as it comes out?
Yeah, on the FYIconference.com website, there is a sign up and it'll say, get notified when we go live. So there is a sign up there, and that's how you can stay in the know about, when we start putting tickets on sale. And tickets will be on sale on Eventbrite, so you can also watch there as well.
I will include a link in the show notes. So
okay, great.
Make sure to email me a link so that I can do that. Okay. And for people who would like to get in touch with you, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you guys can find me online at goodforyouglutenfree.com. And my email is jenny@goodforyouglutenfree.com, pretty easy. And if you are gluten-free and you want to join that community, I offer a free dining card, a safe dining card that you can print on my website. It's right there when you visit my site. And that just helps you, like when you go to a restaurant, you can just show them the dining card. Instead of having to explain what you can and can't eat, the dining card will do it for you. So if you come to my website, you can get that for free, and then you'll be in touch with me for good. You'll be on my mail list, and we'll keep in touch.
All right, everyone. I just want to say thank you to Jenny. She took time out of her day to help me with this and to speak with you guys. She has an event that she's running tonight, so she's got a lot on her plate. So just a huge thank you for all the information, wisdom, and things to consider and think about. If you are in the city of Denver and surrounding, obviously, towns, the Denver Bloggers Club has been a wonderful community for me to be a part of. I love hanging out with the other bloggers, all the information that we've received, and just wisdom and camaraderie and connection. It's just been a great community to be a part of. For those of you listening to the show, don't forget to check out the new event that I've kicked off. It's going to start on May 4th. It's called the Welcome Mats for newly arrived Denverites and current residents. The idea is to get you guys talking, connecting, and to also connect new arrivals with resources to help their transition into our wonderful city be a little bit smoother. And also for current residents who are like super busy, everything's changing all the time, can't keep track. It's also to help you know what's going on and of new communities that have started that maybe you would like to be a part of too. The Welcome Mat event will be again on May 4th from 3 to 4:30 at the Commons on Champa. Don't just show up. There is a link that I will include in the show notes for you to sign up with via Eventbrite. It is free to participate in this time around, so please do check it out. The topic we're going to cover is how to make personal and professional connections in Denver. So I really hope to see you there. If you are an online content creator and you have a website, make sure you check out SiteGround. SiteGround is a wonderful way to host your blog. I currently have my blogs on HostGator and Bluehost. They do okay, but I'm looking forward to switching over to SiteGround so that I can have faster site speed, more responsive care when I have questions, things like that. And they're dealing with a smaller number of people, so it's just a wonderful resource. SiteGround, again, is a hosting platform for your blog. So thank you so much for listening to the show.